Hey guys, we got a few minutes, then we'll go ahead and get started. How's it going, Jay? How's it going, everyone? How you guys doing today? Just confirm you can hear me. Doing good, Brand Battle. Appreciate it. It's a Green Tuesday. A lot of good stuff going on in the market. We're going to cover everything. Why Bitcoin's pumping. What I'm thinking is going to happen this week, next week. And a couple of big levels I'm looking at TA-wise. So it's going to be a great video. Rich boy, you're too nice. I'm not quite there, but appreciate the compliment. Awesome, loud and clear, perfect. Della France says, any airdrop so I can fund those trades. So actually in Gem Hunters Premium, we post daily airdrop updates of good opportunities. So Insightful is one of the ones who posts there. So definitely, if you guys want to join Gem Hunters Premium, a lot of good stuff in there. We have, it's basically like the free Gem Hunters group, but amplified times 10. Awesome, guys. Glad you guys can hear me. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this stream on the road. Again, this stream will also be posted on the official Gem Hunters YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Like if you like it. It's going to be a good video. So, to start us off, let's look at the liquidation heat map. Well, over $347 million worth have been liquidated. Majority of those are short. As you can see, most of the market is green today. A lot of altcoins are outperforming. Great to see after the 2 months of chop that we had. Finally good to see us breaking through these trendline resistance points. Also, some of these alts are breaking above major resistance levels as well and continuing much higher. So we'll go in depth about that as well. Also looking at the liquidation heat map. So this is something I mentioned. There is going to be some resistance near that 88 to 89K level. It broke through it, and there's actually real momentum, real money behind this move. So we did not reject from it. So this is extremely bullish. When you can break through these liquidation levels like this and continue higher, even broke through this 91K level. So very, very bullish. It shows a strong uptrend. And now what I'm looking for, if there's some type of pullback, I would look to bid near 87 to 88K. Because we have all this liquidity down here. So I can imagine the market makers are going to try to get that liquidity. But again, just keep that in mind whenever you are looking at these liquidation heat maps. Is if we continue to break like this, very bullish sign. But again, still expect some type of retest, especially because this is still above those moving averages, which we will talk about in a minute. Now, let's go over some crypto news. So interesting fact here is from yesterday. There's actually 1.5 trillion wiped out from the US stock market, while 60 billion was added to the crypto market. Now, this just adds to the whole decorrelation narrative, where for the longest time, you had Bitcoin extremely correlated to the stock market. So if the stock market dropped, Bitcoin dropped, and vice versa. Well, now you're starting to see Bitcoin break away. And this is great to see, because now it shows those investors that are in the TradFi space are actually coming over to crypto. There's real world adoption. We're seeing that with the ETF flows. Okay, I mentioned that as well in my market update. Bitcoin had $380 million worth of ETF flows, which we'll cover today as well. But institutions are coming back, guys. This isn't just some regular rally that's on air, right? There's actual substance, actual capital behind this, actual reasons behind this rally, which I'll go over as well. But it's great to see this decorrelation and could fuel that further narrative of Bitcoin as digital gold and as crypto as a flight to safety versus the macroeconomy in the TradFi space. So great to see on that front. And then next, we have Bloomberg saying Bitcoin acts like a safe haven. Now, something I want to mention with this, anytime these institutions or these big banks or any big company is praising Bitcoin or crypto, it's because they already have their amount. They've already bought all they're going to buy, and now they're ready for the train to leave the station. And so Bloomberg saying this means they've accumulated as much Bitcoin as they want. They have a comfortable enough bag to where if Bitcoin goes without them, they're fine. And so just keep that in mind, okay? You got to be able to read between the lines here. Bloomberg saying Bitcoin acts like a safe haven. They're basically saying, hey, buy Bitcoin, you're going to be safe. I mean, that's literally what they're saying. And so the fact that they've probably accumulated a lot and they're ready shows, gives more credence to the fact that, again, Bitcoin is like digital gold and these institutions are playing it accordingly. Now, also, we had the Trump media officially finalize the partnership with Crypto.com to launch ETFs. This is very, very bullish news because it's showing that the government, again, well, Trump media is separate from the government, but it shows that Trump media company is actually interested in crypto and continuing to support it, which in essence should bleed over into some type of relation with Trump, as he's already been pro-crypto, but it just further emphasizes that point. And so now that they're partnering with Crypto.com to launch ETFs, imagine how many ETFs are going to be launched. I mean, I think right now on Bloomberg, there's over 78 filings on Bloomberg Terminal, and it's just for different coins, even the Melania 2X ETF, right? Like there's all kinds of different ones, but the matter of the fact is you have SUI ETF, Link ETF, Litecoin ETF. Like there's so many ETFs, and this is actually what's going to help propel us higher. Because if you get institutions able to invest in 50 altcoins, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to take that capital, bring it on chain, bring it to all these different alts, and now you're going to see that proverbial alt season that we've been waiting for. So again, it's slowly and then all at once, as they say. So while it's institutions now, it's going to be countries and nation states later. It's a cycle. And then once you have all those countries and nation states investing, that's going to be the exit liquidity. That's going to mark the top, which I'm still expecting between October and December of this year, around 115 to 150K Bitcoin by the end of this year. And so it's very possible, especially seeing the adoption, especially considering the positive news that has been coming out recently, which I will cover. Also, we have pro-Bitcoin Paul Atkins officially sworn in as the new SEC chair. So remember Gary Gensler, the guy who was against everything, constantly suing different companies? Well, now replacing him is Paul Atkins, who is very pro-crypto, and it's going to add more to the fact that the government is a pro-crypto administration, the first time in U.S. history, as well as hiring everyone who's also pro-crypto. So you're going to have expedited bills being passed. You're going to have more lenient regulation. You're going to have more adoption. You're going to have basically them working with companies more to help increase that adoption throughout the world, not just in those companies. So great to see on that front. Look forward to see how Paul Atkins does as the new SEC chair. Next, some macro news. So one of the big news items today, Israel says it's confident it will finalize a new trade agreement with the United States. This is very bullish, guys, because more countries are coming to the table. More countries are wanting to negotiate with Trump, and now that's putting the pressure on China, okay? China is like the little stepchild now that's not getting any attention. It's like the middle child because now everyone else is coming to the table. They're getting the good deals. And so eventually China is going to come to the table, which there's actually an update not even 30 minutes ago of that happening. And so good to see Israel coming to the table. Also, we have Bank of America saying it doesn't expect interest rate cuts this year due to inflation. So again, Bank of America just loves to spread FUD. I imagine they aren't invested in crypto. I imagine if they are, it is very, very little because banks, they don't like crypto because crypto is taking away from their profit. Imagine someone saying, hey, I don't like the dollar anymore. I'm going to use this Bitcoin, and you've been making money off the dollar from interest rates from your clients for the past 50, 100 years. Well, you're going to act hostile toward that cryptocurrency, towards that other vehicle of currency. And so the fact that crypto is booming right now, they're a little sour. And of course, they're putting out some negative news. They don't expect interest rates cuts this year due to inflation. So are there going to be interest rate cuts May 7th at the next FOMC meeting? Probably not. There's a lot of turmoil between Jerome Powell and Trump. Trump wants him to cut interest rates, while Jerome Powell is saying, no, we don't want to force it unless there's a reason to. And so you have this back and forth. Trump is even saying he's going to fire Jerome Powell, or that's on the table. But a lot of other people are saying it's going to be unhealthy, because if you fire a Fed chair, well, then what's that going to say? Just to get your agenda passed? Yes, in the short term, money printer is going to turn on, everything's going to go up. But in the long term, is that worse for the economy? So I do expect interest rate cuts this year, probably between 1 to 3, maybe, depending. But I mean, it's, things are going so well, so it's just a matter of time, in my opinion. But yeah, you're going to have these FUD articles, especially from banks who don't want to see crypto thrive. Now, on the opposite end, Standard Chartered Bank says Bitcoin could reach new all-time high due to concerns over Federal Reserve's independence. And so now you have other institutions actually adopting crypto and saying it's going to do well because they've already positioned accordingly. Like, guys, you got to read between the lines. You can't just look at what the headlines are saying. You got to be able to say, okay, why are they saying this? What's the reason? What's their relationship to crypto? Well, apparently Standard Chartered Bank is already positioned very well, and they're ready for the next move higher. So you can see what was going on these past few weeks while everyone was panicking, fear was at an all-time high, and everyone was just, there's so much uncertainty in the market. But we were still posting the bullish catalyst. We were still continuing to show you guys, hey, we got an inverse head and shoulders on Bitcoin. Hey, there's still these moving averages we're crossing. Hey, there's still a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes on the chart that show us still continuing higher. So good to see that Chartered Bank is actually bullish and thinks Bitcoin could reach an all-time high. Now, the other thing I want to say is 42 minutes ago, you had the White House saying it's doing very well on a potential trade deal with China. This is what I mean. You put enough pressure on China from India, Israel, Italy, all these other countries coming to the table with Trump. Put enough pressure on China, they're going to cave, okay? They wanted to exhibit strength. They kept increasing tariffs. They kept putting restrictions on what they're exporting to the U.S., but eventually they're coming around. Now, is this trade deal going to go through this week? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact that they're even allowing themselves to come to the table and showing some type of negotiation is good in itself. So great to see on that front, and it shows why the market is pumping, because you have a lot of bullish news coming out. And again, that's just a good reason why this is real capital behind this pump, not just some air that's holding us up, artificial pump, and then everything is pulled from under us the next day. So great to see on that front. And also, this also just confirms the fact whenever Trump was saying that tariffs are going well and everybody wants to negotiate, he wasn't lying. He said this yesterday. And so that's why it pays guys to look at the news, see what's going on, because you can actually forecast stuff that's going to happen. Okay. Trump is actually one of the most, I heard someone, I saw a post said Trump is one of the best KOLs in crypto, meaning like key opinion leaders, AKA influencers. Because he actually posts when things are about to pump. Like, he will literally post on True Social or post on his X account when things are going good. And he gives you a chance to get in before the move happens. Even 3 hours before the pump that we had a few weeks ago, he said, the markets are looking good for buying, and basically 3 hours later, the market's pumped when he announced a 90-day tariff pause. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Literally, if you're given stuff on a silver platter, take advantage of it, guys. Don't try to act with emotion. Just look at what the data is saying and then bet accordingly. Now, looking at the macro news. So as far as the TradFi space, the S&P 500 right now, having a little hard time crossing above 5260. Okay, this is resistance right now. Now, caveat is the RSI is oversold, so looking good right now. But the fact that it can't close the weekly above this yet could be cause for a little more chop in the TradFi space with the S&P. Now, we still have 5 days to close the weekly, so I wouldn't look too closely into this. But again, just keep an eye on that 5260 level. If it can close above it on the weekly, at that point, I would start looking at 5640. Now, gold, on the other hand, has been making all-time highs after all-time highs. Its RSI is overbought, which, if you look at the past, RSI can be overbought for extended period of time, because what the RSI measures is relative strength, is relative price strength, okay? Basically, what this means is the RSI on the 14-day period, which would measure 14 weeks, it measures, okay, how many candles have gone up or down within those 14-day periods versus, the down candles, and then it makes a ratio from that. And so the more candles that go up, the higher this value is going to be. And that's why you have these overbought, because candles have gone up for so long that eventually they should come back via mean reversion. But nonetheless, gold's doing great. Hedge against inflation, hedge against uncertainty. And so if you're looking to buy gold at support, look between 3,000 to 3,100. Good support near there. Now, oil futures are continuing to hover around this 60 to 63 level. Okay, this is good for the fact that it makes gas prices cheaper, transportation costs lower, a lot of good positives. People have more money in their pocket. And so good to see oil futures are down at these levels, because it's starting to see some relief in the economy. Again, with those gas prices a little bit lower, people just feel like they have more money. And so great to see for investments from an investment perspective, and especially good for crypto. Now, the dollar index is very interesting, so the DXY. And I'll tell you why. Again, we've been calling this drop for the past 4 weeks, ever since it hit this resistance at $104. And now we're seeing it break through this $100 support and bounce off of this $98 support here. And so what I would look for is, excuse me, the RSI right now is oversold. So you can see it's below the 30 level on the weekly. The last time it was oversold was August of 2024. Now, what happened with the S&P August of 2024? Well, we had a short-term pullback. So you can see August 2024, a little bit of a short-term pullback afterwards, and then continued higher from there. So could that happen here? Very, very possible. Okay, so I wouldn't rule that out because the DXY, it's not as inversely correlated to the stock market as it once was, or even crypto for that matter. Like DXY has been going down since what? Since January of this year. Bitcoin hasn't been going. I mean, has Bitcoin been going down? Yeah, so Bitcoin has been going down as well. So it's not inversely correlated. Usually Bitcoin should be rising whenever the DXY is falling. So it shows you that, you know, this whole correlation with the DXY, it's kind of separating as well. And so that could mean even if the DXY bounces, Bitcoin could continue higher still. So again, it's showing just that different measurements, those different calculations are coming into play where it's not as black and white as it once was. And so even if the DXY continues going down, it doesn't mean Bitcoin has to go up, and vice versa. If DXY is going up, it doesn't mean the Bitcoin has to go down. But just from a net, I say a net positive perspective, if DXY is going down, more times than not, Bitcoin will go up. So that's at the very least there. Now let's go ahead and look at the market. So let's refresh the page. Everything is green. This is so good to see. I mean, we haven't seen the market like this in a long time, okay? Bitcoin's up 5%, $91,300. Ethereum is at $1,700, up 7.8%. Ethereum actually broke a big resistance level. Remember, guys, I posted in market updates in the Gym Hunters Premium group. I said, if Ethereum breaks above this trend line, we're going to see it continue higher, and that's exactly what happened. So if you guys aren't in there, definitely join. Links in the description. But the fact that these are going so much higher, as well as Fartcoin up 23%, IMX, CRV, Bonk, Tau, again, a lot of these coins are showing strength. And that's why I'm always saying during the chop, guys, look for the strong performers. What's green while everything is red? At that point, Fartcoin was green while everything was red, and now when everything is green, it's even more green, right? You always look for relative strength when you are trading. So good to see on that front. And then something interesting here with the on-chain data. And I know people have asked questions about this as well, is the on-chain data day over day is actually red right now. Could this be lagging? It could. But the fact is, most money is flowing off-chain, i.e. off base chain, off Solana, off Ethereum, and actually going onto exchanges, investing into these alts. And in my opinion, this is when the big money is coming in. Big money isn't trading meme coins. Big money is trading the big coins, the top 100. And you're seeing that investment come through, those institutional flows come through. And in my opinion, that's why this is red. That's my best assessment of it. If someone has a better assessment of why on-chain data is red while everything is green, definitely let me know. But in my opinion, I'm thinking that, okay, the people who are trading memes, who are trading a lot of coins on-chain, they're actually getting off of that, withdrawing to exchanges and actually buying some of these top 100 coins. Because all of those are pumping, utilities are pumping versus memes. That's just my assessment from it. But other people let me know if you have something different. Now, looking at the fear and greed index. So fear is at 38. Remember when I mentioned that when we were in extreme fear and I said, guys, it's a great time to buy. It bounced last time in March, and look what happened. We're continuing higher. Now, I'm feeling good about where we're at right now, around 38. I think we'll still be good until we get to 60. Okay, until we get to that greed area, I think we'll still pump a lot more. And a couple reasons for that is because people still haven't gotten into the market yet, right? Yes, you have a few people in, but I am telling you what, a lot of people miss this move. I guarantee you, because I see in the comments, we got to have a pullback right now. We got to have a pullback. Well, people only say that whenever they didn't get a chance to long. You guys know that, and I know that. And so the fact is, more people still have to come in. More people still have to FOMO. We're nowhere near the top of this move. Yes, we could have a short-term pullback from 91K down to 87K to those liquidity levels we were talking about. But it's not the end. We're above these long-term moving averages, which I'll talk about in a minute for Bitcoin's chart. We've broken a lot of big resistance levels, and so we're nowhere near the top, guys. Like, we still have a lot to go, and I'm going to cover some more metrics of why I believe that and some upcoming metrics that I believe is going to cause Bitcoin to pump even more. So looking at seasonality, that's one of those metrics, okay? Let's go ahead and refresh the page here. So we've been talking about seasonality in Gym Hunters, I mean, for so long. I was posting back in February and March. I said, guys, look at 2020 and look at the correlation between where we're at now. Okay, what happened in 2020? Obviously, COVID, a lot of uncertainty. What's going on in 2025? A lot of uncertainty with these tariff wars, right? With Russia, Ukraine, with a lot of these Middle Eastern wars. And so if you look at the similarities, Look at 2020. It was a green January, red February and March, green April and May. What's going on right now? Green January, red February and March, green April, and green May eventually. That's why I was looking at 2020 and why I've been comparing it for the past few months, because I strongly believe we're finally at that relief part where we're going to have a green April and May. Now, caveat that in the TradFi space, it's always sell in May and go away. But we're seeing that flight to safety from stocks to crypto. We saw the decorrelation from the S&P to crypto, just like we were watching 1.5 trillion was wiped out from crypto while 60 billion was added, or from TradFi while 60 billion was added to crypto. Right? We saw that yesterday. And so good to see at least that we're seeing some relief this month, which does further emphasize this point in correlation between 2020. So good to see on that front. Next, let's go over some ETF flows. So Bitcoin had 380 million of ETF flows on yesterday's report. And why this is significant is because look at all the ETF flows that we had for the past few weeks. Negative, 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 negative. Yes, we had 76 million, 106 million, but we didn't have any large ETF flows. Now we're seeing what institutions have been doing this whole time. They have been accumulating. They're ready for the next leg higher. They're done with this chop that we've had the past 2.5 months, and now we're seeing real money come through. Guys, you got to watch what the institutions are doing. You can't be acting on emotions. You can't be acting on someone's tweet. Look at the raw data, because the raw data isn't going to lie to you. That's why my name is Crypto Data, because I'm looking at the data. I'm not acting on emotions. You got to act like a machine in this space. Otherwise, you're going to lose money like 95% of people do. So looking at the ETF flows, I mentioned this in the Gym Hunters Market Update. I said, we're seeing big ETF flows. Now institutions are ready. We're going to continue higher from here. And that was around 87 to 88K. And look what happened today. We're above 91K. And so great to see on that front. And looking at Ethereum, on the other hand, still has time to catch up because they had 25 million worth of outflows. And so Ethereum, unfortunately, is still showing outflows despite the price actually breaking above its long-term trend line at 1660 to 1680. And so while Ethereum's price action is good, inflows still have to catch up, which means Ethereum could still go a lot higher once these flows come in. Okay, I'd like to see at least 50 million of inflows before I start getting bullish on Ethereum. Okay, 100 mil of inflows plus would really show institutions are ready to back this and continue much higher. So potentially today, we could even see inflows show up positive today, okay? Maybe. Because considering Ethereum is broken above big trend line resistance, which I'll go over as well, we could see positive flows. But right now, what I'm looking at is, again, still underperformance versus Bitcoin, but that outperformance is going to happen once ETF flows come in. Mark my words. And that's when we're going to see real alt season. Until then, we may see a couple pumps here and there, but if you want to see real alt season, once Ethereum starts outperforming and flows start coming in, then you'll really start seeing things just send. So keep an eye on the ETF flows. Farside Investors, great website to check those out. Now, again, if you guys have any questions, go leave them and I'll answer them accordingly. But real quick, let's just go over Bitcoin and Ethereum, some upcoming events, and then I will answer the questions. So let's go over Bitcoin. And again, if you guys aren't trading on BloFin, go ahead and sign up. We have a link in the description. Really appreciate it. Helps us support us and helps us provide you this free content every week. So BloFin, best non-KYC exchange. So looking at the pattern here. Now, we've been talking about this in our market updates for a long time as well. I've been talking about this inverse head and shoulders pattern. Remember when we talked about chart patterns a few weeks ago when I mentioned that in the TA Academy videos? And I said, guys, you got to recognize these chart patterns because it'll help you catch the move before it actually happens. We were posting about this inverse head and shoulders pattern when Bitcoin was around 84.4K. I said, okay, I see this. This could be playing out. And look what happened. We sent much higher. Now, I also talked about these moving averages. You got the 200-day EMA, the 50-day EMA, and then the 60-day SMA. Now, what's a simple moving average and what's an exponential moving average? Well, I talked about this yesterday in the TA Academy video as well when I was talking about different indicators. I recommend everyone watch that. If you haven't, great video. Should be linked in the YouTube. Now, for a simple moving average, this is going to be a straight average of so it's 60-day here. So over the past 60 days, it's going to take an average of Bitcoin's price, and it's going to post a little value, okay? Whereas the exponential moving averages, for example, the 50-day EMA is going to put more weight on the latter half of the equation. So it's going to take, data from the past 50 days, but the most recent 25 days, it's going to put a little more weight onto that and take that more into the equation. And so it's going to be a little more reactive and a little bit more accurate if there's some big moves that happened recently. And so that's why I like to look at the EMA, but also have the SMA on there, because if you see these combining like they are, coming to a head, then whenever Bitcoin crosses above these like it did and close, then you can expect a big move higher. And I've been posting about these for the past few days, past few weeks. So anyone who saw this move happening, this isn't a surprise to anyone, okay? There's a quote that says, if you show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. That's literally what's happening. You're seeing the chart, you're seeing the bullishness. Now you have the market going higher. Release the positive news, okay? It's all a game, guys. It's all a game at the end of the day. If you know how to play the game, then you can make a lot of money. And so, yes, we're seeing the stock RSI overbought, but the RSI still has room to go. Now, there is big resistance near 91K, which everyone needs to keep in mind because, again, we did reject off of it in March. But if we close the daily candle above it, things could start get interesting. At that point, I would look at 95K for the next level because 95K has been such a big inflection point. I mean, look how many times it acted as support in the past. And then finally it broke below it February of 24th, and then it rejected off of it, which also coincided with the 50-day EMA. Okay, 2 points of confluence there. What do I talk about? I always talk about using confluence with your indicators and your fundamentals. That's really how you can extract the most money and make the most profit. And so 95K is going to be a big level. Now, if we pull back here, which I'm assuming we'll have some type of pullback, if we continue higher, so be it. But the healthy pullback here would be 87 to 88K, as that also coincides with our liquidity levels. So see how we have these liquidity levels down here between 87 to 88K? That's going to coincide with the support level here, as this was previous resistance, now turns support. And so keep an eye on that if you're looking to trade. If you're not in a long yet, I would not get in a long now. I would wait for a retracement, and if you miss it, you miss it. But, I mean, there usually is some type of pullback here. It may wait until 95K, and then RSI is going to be overbought, and then we have a pullback to 91. Still possible, but the matter of the fact is we want risk and reward to be on our side, not the other way around. Now, let's go ahead and real quick talk about Ethereum, and I'll show you that trend line that I was talking about where it broke. So you can see here, again, we've been posting this in market updates as well on Gem Hunters, is this long-term trend line we had since March. Okay, this was a month and a half where Ethereum has been rejected multiple times, could not break above this trend line, and now what we're seeing is Ethereum break above it. So also we have horizontal resistance here at 1690. If Ethereum can close above, let's say Ethereum closes above 1690 or say 1700, very, very bullish. At that point, I could see it going much higher. Okay, the fact that it's already closing above this trend line is bullish in itself, but if it can close above the trend line in a horizontal resistance, then we could start seeing 1780 and then 1950. So not out of the question, especially considering it's finally starting to break this downtrend. Now, again, with the stock RSI, it is overbought, which is cause for concern considering we're at resistance as well. So just keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. We could still have a pullback. If we do have a pullback, I would bet near 1550. That would be my big level to long. And potentially we could even just bounce off of this trend line support. If we close above it as resistance, it could act as support and then continue higher, bouncing around, 1630 to 1650 as well. That's possible. But matter of the fact is I'm just waiting for this to close above resistance to show further continuation to the upside. Now, last but not least, let's go ahead and cover some upcoming events. So, taxes, they already passed. Hopefully you guys paid your taxes. If you didn't, you can still file, albeit late, you can still file. And something that I discovered when doing my taxes was the best crypto tax software around. Again, I'm not a tax professional, but the best crypto tax software around, in my opinion, is Coinly. Okay, go ahead and search in Google top crypto tax software. Coinly will be near the top. So Coinly was the easiest for me. All I did was sign in to Coinbase, PayPal, MetaMask, paste in the wallets there. Literally, it did everything else for me. And then it provided a CSV file, which I could put into TurboTax and easily report those taxes. And then it would spit out how much I owed. So extremely easy. Again, Coinly, very, very easy crypto tax software if you're looking for a good one. And, it's about, I think, $200 if you have a lot of transactions, like over 5,000. Then, you pay that. Otherwise, they have cheaper plans as well. But yeah, Coinly is very, very good for anyone who wants to track their crypto transactions. So I'm not affiliated with them. It's just I like the software. Okay, next we have Token 2049 in Dubai. Guys, I hope you are attending this. If anyone's attending Token 2049 in Dubai, please leave a fire emoji. I want to see who's going because at that point, I hope to meet you guys. I'll be there from the 28th to the 4th. So I'm going to a lot of side events. I'm going to try to hang out with a lot of big people while I'm down there, meet with a lot of companies, meet with a lot of founders. And so I would love to see you guys. I'd love to meet you guys if we could. It'd be awesome, as I talk with you guys every day, basically. So hopefully some of you guys are going here. Should be a good time. Also, if you guys want to know where to sign up for the side events, just scroll down, and then you'll see, if you click on this right arrow, it says with 500 side events, click learn more, and you'll actually come to the side event page where then you can sign up. So again, token 2049, 90% sold out. It's going to be one of the best events, one of the biggest events this year. I guarantee it, especially considering the market. So again, should be a great time, guys. Now, looking at the next upcoming event, we have the FOMC meeting, which is going to be very big in May. So May 7th. So keep an eye on this, because this is what's going to tell us if the Fed is going to cut interest rates or keep them the same. Remember, Trump wants to cut interest rates. He wants to turn the money printer on. If interest rates are cut this month on May 7th, expect the market to pump like crazy. Okay, most people right now, I would say at least 60 to 70% are expecting no rate cuts, especially because Jerome Powell said he's not going to force a rate cut if it's not needed. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Apparently the market's fine with no more interest rate cuts, as we can see with Bitcoin's price action, because right now the tariff situation is becoming the pump in itself. It's becoming the catalyst in and of itself. And so that's what we're seeing, and that's what we're reflecting with just looking at the ETF flows and other positive catalysts. So if interest rate cuts happen, it's just going to be icing on the cake, in my opinion. And then with that, one more thing real quick, I'll talk about it. Again, if you guys aren't following me on X at the Crypto Data, definitely follow me there. I post a lot of good content. But something I was posting a week ago was talking about this M2 money supply. And this is another thing besides seasonality, where I talked about 2020 was green in April and May, 2025 should be green in April and May, among other factors. But M2 money supply actually has a lag versus Bitcoin. Now, I know some people don't like to use the M2 money supply now because China has changed their calculation and changed the way they record their money supply. So again, it's not as accurate. But nonetheless, Bitcoin has historically lagged the M2, which is basically the global money supply, if you want to think of it that way. So whenever the M2 money supply started declining, in January, Bitcoin eventually followed suit. You can see the M2 money supply is in yellow, Bitcoin's price is in orange. It eventually followed suit and it lagged. Now we're seeing the M2 money supply reach all-time highs, while Bitcoin is now starting on its uptrend. Now, May 1st would be exactly 108 days, but we're starting about a week and a half early. And so again, that's par for the course, plus or minus a few weeks. But the fact we are seeing Bitcoin finally start to catch up with the M2 is very, very bullish. And it was one of the reasons why I am bullish on April and bullish on May. Okay, we have seasonality, we have the M2 money supply, we have historic factors, we have the macroeconomy getting better. Again, there's a lot of factors that are also contributing, not just these two, but a lot of things are coming into confluence. We're breaking a lot of big trendline resistance levels, moving averages, etc. So again, all of this is coming to a head. ETF flows are coming in. So there's a lot to be bullish about. And so that's why you got to be able to look at the data, guys. Crypto data, it's in my name. You got to be able to look at the data, and then that way you can predict these moves before they happen. So with that, let's go ahead and look at the chat, and I will answer questions. If you got any questions, guys, go ahead and leave them in the chat. We got about 20 minutes, because I got an AMA I got to go to after this. So it's going to be with exhibits. Let me answer some questions on there. But let's see what everyone has to say. Okay. Okay, Young Hudge says, no idea how to use Gem Hunters. Please teach me. Yeah, Young Hudge. So make sure you're in the free group. If you aren't, it's in the description. Go ahead and join it there. If you want to join the premium group, again, go to the website in the description as well. It's 1 Ethereum. Ethereum's on a 50% discount versus what the price was for the group a year ago. So we do provide a lot of value in Gem Hunters Premium. We do have over 40 plus calls every month, DGen calls, Gem Hunter Alpha, leverage calls. We have gem reports. We have daily market updates that are very extensive. We have, we're trading meme coins in there as well. We also have 24/7 concierge service. You can also talk with the Gem Hunters in there. There's just a ton of benefits. Over the past year, also, you had 340 wins, 76.6% win rate, and average of 68 to 310% P&L/profit per month. So Gem Hunters Premium is a very, very good community. Brand Battle says, if I want to join the premium but only do leverage, is it worth it? I think it's worth it, Brand Battle. We have a lot of good leverage callers as well in the Leverage Alpha channel in Gym Hunters Premium. And so I think it would be worth it, honestly. Per month for leverage calls, I would say at least between 5 to 10 plus. I would say probably 10 plus leverage calls per month. And with those leverage calls, you can make anywhere from, 15, 20% all the way up to 100% plus. And so if that's worth it for you, definitely join. I think it is. I think at minimum we have 10 plus leverage calls. So I think you will get your money's worth, in my opinion. Jaden says, thoughts about Candle TV. Very bullish on Candle TV. Very, very bullish. I think that Candle TV is going to be one of those. I think it's going to be one of those projects that's going to be very bullish because they're trying to reinvent the whole trenches space. And I do see a lot of big people backing it. And so I think I'm bullish on Candle TV. I think it'll do good. Let's see. Tyler says Dolan. Yeah, Dolan may rise from here. Be interesting to see. I know memes. Every meme coin took a hit. So Dolan could be good. We'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, hopefully we have that pump with everything else. Peter says, do you suggest to close my short on hype at $15 as it could drop and then close it? My liquidation is at 20, getting wiped currently. What are your thoughts? Peter, great question. Just because you're in the trade, I'll go ahead and chart it for you real quick. So let's go ahead and check out hype and see if we can save Peter. So let's see. All right, let's go ahead and get the hype trade here. Okay, so looking at hype right now on the daily. Let's draw some quick lines, some quick magic lines. Okay, here we go. Okay, Peter, to answer your question about hype and if it's going to go to 20 or not. So your liquidation is at $20. Ooh, yeah. It's very close, Peter. Very close. You may get liquidated. Now, the caveat is stock RSI is overbought, but it looks like it wants to cross back to the upside. RSI isn't quite overbought yet. If RSI was overbought, I would say, okay, it's probably going to go back down. But RSI still isn't overbought yet. We crossed above these moving averages, very bullish, and I mean, it looks good. I mean, it's in the middle of a range, so to your defense, it could still revert back to the downside. But it's still has some room to run though. Like it's not at resistance right now, so I would be careful, Peter. I would be careful. I mean, technically, if you want to count this support turn resistance at 1950, maybe. Yeah, I mean, looking at the 4-hour stock RSI is almost overbought. RSI maybe bearish divergence. Yeah, it's risky, Peter. It's risky right now. I'll say that. Like your silver lining is Bitcoin is at resistance at 91K. So if Bitcoin falls, mostly everything else will fall. But yeah, I mean, there's some support on hype at 1690, so it'll probably bounce there or at least 15 at the very least. So yeah, you basically shorted it at support, which wasn't the best, but again, it's risky. It's a 50-50. I don't want to say one way or the other, honestly. It's a 50-50, just because all those reasons. So hopefully you make some money. Hopefully it has a little pullback, and then you can actually get out somewhat break even, or not lose as much on that trade. Dimitar says, hey, Luke. So this is actually John Luke. This isn't Luke Belmar, so I know we sound alike, but yeah. My actual name is John Luke. He says, you were talking about Monad, but you stopped mentioning it. What's up with that project? So if he's talking about, when Luke was mentioning Monad, I think Luke is still in it, but the fact is, I don't think Monad's launched yet. I could be mistaken, but I think they're going to launch later on this year. So that's probably why he hasn't talked about it, just because it's, I don't think they've launched. So just keep that in mind. Once Monad gets closer, I'm sure every influencer is going to be talking about it. Let's see. Eswar says, hey, John Luke, as always, love your TA and gives me hope even in this volatile market. So my question is, should we short for pullbacks right now, or do you think it's going to rally upside? So here's the thing, Eswar. If you want to be on the safe side, I would just long the pullbacks. So, and I say that because I think we're changing a trend. I think we're having a shift in the trend. I think we're seeing Bitcoin pull away, Ethereum break some long-term trend line resistance, a lot of alts crossing above their long-term moving averages. And so the safest play would be to long at major supports, long once we have the pullbacks, versus trying to short the resistance. That, and personally, would be my thought process, my safest recommendation for you. Let's see. Carson says, this guy knows what he's talking about. Good logic. Hey, appreciate it, Carson. Much love. Always appreciate you guys watching as well. Remember, if you guys haven't liked the video, please like it. It helps spread Gym Hunters to the masses. It helps us provide content to you guys for free, and it helps to grow the channel, because without you guys, we'd be nothing. So again, I just want to thank you guys for having your time, spending your time with us, and yeah, liking the video helps a lot as well. So again, appreciate that, guys. Landon says, so happy we got a live stream today. Made my day. Landon, awesome stuff, man. I'm so glad it made your day. We try to provide the best content, especially on these green days. So turns out that live stream worked out perfectly and that everything is in the green. S4 says, also, how'd you get started with trading? Like, did you get any prop firm or did you use your own money? Do you have any advice for people starting some decent capital? Yes, that's a great question. So I was actually in the military before I started trading. I was in the Air Force flying on some big aircraft, and I actually joined crypto in May of 2017. And so during this time, you know, my dad was telling me, he said, hey, I have a friend who's swinging six figures and he's making a ton of money and he's not really fazed by it. And before that, I have a degree in finance. And so I was trading stocks, penny stocks, options before that. And so I already had somewhat of a financial background. And so I said, you know what? This seems like a combination of penny stocks and normal stocks. And so I said, let me dive into this a little bit more. Funny enough, in May, my first altcoin purchase was actually XRP. And so I bought it. I want to say it was at 20 cents, 22 cents around there, because XRP was getting a lot of traction, right? It pumped from half a penny. It was seen as the next big thing. Banks were going to use it, etc. And so that was my first dive into that. And that's when I started really promoting my X account with crypto, started, you know, making my YouTube channel, started making some more groups in 2018 and 2019, growing my socials even more. And then the rest is history. And then I went full-time crypto in August of 2023. So that's when I said, okay, I have built up a good enough network, built up enough social capital, built up enough experience and backtesting, and of course having a nest egg, you know, money that I can live off of if trading didn't go well for the first few months, which I highly recommend everyone do. If you're thinking of trading full time, make sure you have the proper success in it, and also have the proper nest egg. So if things don't go well, you're not too stressed out. And so as far as advice for people who want to start with decent capital, let's just say you're talking about 5, 10K, 20K, 30K, even more. I would say start lightly. Don't invest it all at once, right? Because you got to have some back testing data. You got to have some experience before you get in. And so I would say you could use leverage, like small leverage. I'm talking like 2-3x leverage on BloFin. That's where I would start. And you can just look at the Gym Hunters leverage calls. Just start with there, right? Just start with small. So like, say you have $50,000 to trade in, maybe just have 5,000 of that allocated towards leverage trading. And then, you know, use that accordingly, because crypto is all about risk management. You don't have to be right every time. You just have to lose or win, you know, bigger than you lose. And so the biggest thing with that is using all of the data you have to your advantage, not acting on emotion, using what we use at Gym Hunters to help you have better success and more profitability versus those who are just trading off a whim. And so, yeah, I would say make sure that, you know, you have a strategy, make sure you've back tested that strategy, or at the very least, you're practicing proper risk management from taking, you know, some signals from Gym Hunters via the Gym Hunters Premium group, which in my opinion is a good investment, although I'm biased because I'm in there. But I think 1 ETH right now, for all the value that's provided in Gym Hunters Premium, is very big, because we're actually going to have a full-on TA course with some more risk management courses that's going to help even new traders. Like, we have a whole new trader section. So if you guys are just starting out, a lot of good content in there for you as well. So it's something for everyone, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. But yeah, that was a long answer, and basically just saying ease into it, even if you have a lot of capital. Look at what the big whales are doing. Look at those good groups that are actually going to lead you the right way, and not act like pump and dump groups like a lot of these influencer groups are. So Gym Hunters is one of the good groups. And then, yeah, follow good accounts. So like, follow reputable X accounts, you know, mine at The Crypto Data. I provide a lot of good content. Follow all the other Gym Hunters. Follow Luke Belmar. Follow a lot of good YouTube channels like Gym Hunters, like Benjamin Cohen. So Into Cryptoverse, he's a great X account to follow. Into Cryptoverse, INTO Cryptoverse. Benjamin Cohen is a great guy, and there's a couple other good ones as well. But yeah, that would be my biggest thing, is just follow the reputable accounts, learn from them, and learn from the groups that are providing value. And at that point, you can actually grow your portfolio and actually get led in the right direction. But, you know, instead of getting, you know, led like pigs to a slaughter, where you're just buying what these influencers are posting and you're getting wrecked off of meme coins or others. So that'd be my best advice. Let's see. A's said, hey, do you DM people on Telegram asking for crypto? Just want to confirm if it's really you, blue check and all. No. So A's, first of all, I'm John Luke, not Luke. But no, Luke will never DM you guys. Like, no gym hunter will ever DM you, especially asking for crypto. And the fact that you said it's a blue check and all, guys, if you buy Telegram Premium, which is like super cheap, I think it's $5 a month, you can get a blue check. Like you can put any emoji you want next to your name, okay? Anyone can do that. So please, please don't fall for scam, guys. No one is going to DM you asking for crypto. No one is going to DM you telling about some private group. Like, no one's going to DM you, period. Do not trust DMs ever, ever, ever. Comment in the actual Gym Hunters group and ask if you're uncertain at all. Never give money, never sign, click on any links in a DM. It's going to be a scam. Let's see. Greenland says Dolan will be melting faces bad. Hey, I hope Dolan goes to the moon. Dimitar, is this Luke talking? No, this is John Luke. So similar name, similar voice and inflections, but no, this is John Luke. But I've hung out with Luke a couple times. He's a great guy. We definitely talk a lot. So A says, thank you guys. It's because that person was asking me for my wallet and asked me to pay $50 to get a bot to manage my trade. Yeah, no, never answer DMs, guys. Let's see. Michael says shares of PFE so cheap with PE of 15 and 3.2 billion. Yep. So interesting. Good to see TradFi space still doing good. Let's see. Ooh. Okay. Let's see. Gidros or Girgos says, anyone got any good alpha groups? Yeah, Gym Hunters. So Gym Hunters Premium. Join that alpha group. It's one of the best ones. If you don't have the money for 1 Ethereum, join the Gym Hunters free group. Links in the description for both. Let's see. Nacelle says, thanks for all the research and info. No problem. Jay says, I know you usually talk about short term, but where do you expect BTC to be within the next 5 years? So 5 years, hard to say. If I had to just spitball it, 400 to 500K in 5 years. I would say within this year or maybe early next year, between 115K to 150K. That'd be my best guess for this year. Let's see. Snow says, can you please look at Link? Yeah, I'll look at that. And then I'll answer a few questions and then we'll have to go and get ready for this AMA that I got to do. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at Link real quick. Okay, Link is interesting. Link is almost where Bitcoin was, below all of these moving averages. And so if we just, let's see. Link isn't as clean cut as far as support and resistance levels are concerned. I mean, there's some, resistance right now where it's at. It does coincide with the 50-day EMA and the 60-day SMA. Stock RSI is overbought, looking like it wants to cross to the downside. RSI is still going to the upside. So yeah, Link I would not be buying here. Again, I'll wait for a close above these moving averages and this resistance level. Wait for a close, probably like 1430 or higher. It'd be a good bullish daily close for Link. Otherwise, I would look to buy near 1220. Or if you want to front run that, then $13. Maybe a good little buy. But yeah, I would say $12.20 to $13. You could DCA down here with major support near 1080. And then resistance is going to be near this 200 EMA with horizontal resistance near 1560. And then finally that 1743 level. Indigo says, I'm down 60 to 65% on alts. Do I wait for a retracement? So alts should eventually catch up. Again, we're not in that hodl mentality we were in 2021, where you just held something and everything went up. There's a lot more liquidity fragmentation, i.e. a lot more coins that are being launched. So people are investing in different things. They're not holding as much because there's more opportunities elsewhere. I would say that was exacerbated by the liquidity bootstrap protocols, such as Ford Foundry and a few others, as well as Pump.Fun. We just had coins just being launched every day, right? And so if you're holding strong altcoins, they'll probably recover. Like Hype, Solana, maybe even Ethereum. Let's see, of course, a few others as well. But yeah, I would say if you're holding, probably continue holding. If they're strong alts, they should come back. Landon says, currently long for BTC. Do you think we should stay in a long position for now? Landon, I would start taking some profits. If you're in a long right now, start taking some profits. Bitcoin's near 91K resistance. And so we should have some type of pullback. Obviously, it could still keep going, but I would take a little profits, not everything, because we could still go to 95K, especially with this bullish momentum and how many people are on the sidelines. But yeah, I would at least take some profit here at 91K. Coincides with the liquidity heat map. But I'll take the rest of your profit, probably near 95K. 94.5, 95. Do you expect alts to pump with BTC? Indigo asks. Yes, I do. If BTC pulls back to 87K, where do you see Solana pulling back to? I would say 135. $135 should be a good support level to buy for Sol if Bitcoin pulls back. CU says, load up on the next dip. Yes. Groblin says, think Ton will follow the rest of alt. It's been struggling at $3 for a while. Hard to say. Ton is one of those things where it's hard to gain adoption, right? I mean, yes, it has over 1 billion users. Yes, if those convert to crypto, it'll be an insane pump. But the fact is, most Telegram users aren't really as crypto savvy. I would say maybe 20%, 30% are. And so there's still a lot of room to the upside if the rest of those people do get exposure to crypto. But it's just hard to say, especially if Ton has been underperforming. That would be the only thing. And so Inspired to Aspire says, thank you, bro. You're helping a lot. Hey, no problem, guys. I really appreciate you. Alex, do you think meme coins are coming back? Yes, eventually. Memes may actually end up being the blow off top of this cycle. I know they started this cycle, but they'll probably pump towards the end after the rest of the alts because utility plays are finally coming back. So it's good to see there. Thoughts on Jupe right now? It was around 40 cents as a gainer. 50 cents is big resistance for Jupe. If it can close above 50, start getting bullish again. Let's see. BWFL. If going for a long on Bitcoin, do I hold until the end of May? No. Don't hold until the end of May. Because there's still that sell in May and go away mantra from TradFi. I would say probably until the mid-May. Beginning to mid-May is when you should hold, in my opinion. After that, may get a little squirrely. Just because standard summer chop, etc. A says, is there any other way of payment for the Premier Group, like via Google Pay or monthly payments? No, unless it's on the payment with the payment provider, then no. But, if you can type your card in, if you have a card linked to Google Pay, if you can type your card in, that's good. But as far as monthly payments, no. That may be something we may entertain in the future, but as of right now, there is no projection of that. Matt Payne says, should I wait for prices to go down to long BTC, ETH, and Sol? I would. I think it's a little too risky, especially considering we've been up only the past 2 days in a row. Pete says, which levels can I enter my entries now? Bitcoin 87K, Sol at 135. If they can pull back. Della, can someone airdrop me some funds? Salah says, when does Candle TV go live? I think it's going to go live pretty soon, like this week. Van Raj, what are your thoughts on other cryptos like XRP and Sol? Bullish on Sol, XRP, a little iffy. Brand Battle, do you think market pullback to at least 3 to 4%? It's very possible, yes. Let's see. AKJ, opinion on CAS? It's not bad. It's just been underperforming a little bit, but recently it's done good, so it could be catching up along with other altcoins. People always call it, the new Bitcoin, but again, it just has to follow through with that. Philip says, how'd you get all your knowledge? Any books or other informational content recommendations? Yeah, Philip, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. That book is pretty good. Also, Psychology of Money. That's another good book. So yeah, I would say those two. And then just repetition, Philip. Like the more repetition, the more times you look at charts, the more you study, then you're going to innately gain more knowledge and be more proficient in crypto and the markets in general. And so it's just studying. Time in, time out, right? What you input is what you output. Raul says, how to read and understand fundamentals that will affect the market. Follow Watch Your Guru. He posts a lot of good metrics, but anything macro related that's due to interest rates, tariffs, or other countries at war, that's going to affect the whole environment. And inflation. So inflation, interest rates, tariffs, and wars. Those are the top four. Kevin, what about XRP? XRP, still tentatively bullish on it, but not as much as the others. Sol, ETH, etc. Brand Battle says your lick price is too close. Let's see. SWAR, can you use Windows plus right arrow to keep that chat and the chart side by side? Nerdy tip. Gotcha. Actually, I'll do this for the future. Thanks for reminding me of that. And then Hyper says, hi, I'm actually late to the stream. Quick market sentiment for this week. Market sentiment's bullish, Hyper. Buy any pullbacks. Corpus, I sold too early. Still made a decent amount, seeing that it continued to rise. As me, what if? Ikis says, hi, Crypto Data. Thanks for the insight. Share with us. A question. Do you take into consideration the liquidity heat map for your trades, for your entries and exits? Yes. It's this. So I look at liquidity data for determining where price may reverse. Okay. So like back in the day, last week, whenever we had liquidity levels, for example, like near this 86K level, I was saying, okay, I think price is going to rise into this and potentially reject. And it rejected for a while, and then it finally broke through it. Like, especially if you go over the 2-week chart. So you can see right now that we've just been breaking through, but you can see whenever liquidity was big near 88K, we had a rejection down to this 86.4K level. And then we continued higher to this liquidity up here at 89, and then we had a rejection, and we continued higher. So yes, like these liquidity levels can act as good resistance, just like at 86.5, you can see when Bitcoin went up to here, then we rejected. And so this was a big level that if we would have broke through, then you would have basically confirmed a bullish reversal. So I do use these for support and resistance levels as well, if it does line up with what the fundamentals are saying and what my other TA signals are saying. Salo, where do you see current support for Solana? 135 and 125. Nerdy guy, BTC short at 91 and 92K. Yes, I would DCA there and 95K for shorts. Brand battle, do you think the market's going to pull back 3 to 4%? Yes. RBS says I'm in the Air Force too, and when I got to the Air Force was when I started trading crypto. Hey, small world. Thank you for your service. Mark says, what is the Academy in GH Premium? Do they just teach the basics, or will it teach us how to be a pro level 2? So it goes through everything. So we literally have like a start to finish crypto academy, where it's like a master class, if you will, where I literally go from beginner level stuff all the way to intermediate and some advanced level stuff too, and what I look at and how I do my analysis. And so you'll get that in the members section of Gym Hunters Premium if you join. Again, in the description if you guys want to join, 1 ETH to join for a yearly subscription. Sergio, how would you build a crypto Twitter economy from scratch right now? I would post useful content. I would respond to big accounts with useful info, because the more value you can provide, the more people are going to follow you. On Prestige says, hey, John Luke, what would be the best way to learn trading strategy with futures, as I'm never really confident in knowing when to long or short? I'm in the Gym Hunters free channel. I would say just follow the leverage calls that are posted in there. That's the best for now. And then also what you can do is look at technical analysis basics. So if you look at our technical analysis videos that we posted, like look at the first one I made. It's called Technical Analysis Basics, and it's in Gym Hunters YouTube. Look at that, and you can actually find a lot of good stuff. Is ETH a good buy right now? Maybe, if we can close above trendline resistance. And then before you join Gym Hunters Premium, you should at least have an excess of $500 to $1,000 in your account. So that's what I would say. If you only have like $50, no, not worth it. But if you have at least $500 to $1,000 in addition to paying for Gym Hunters Premium, and it's income you can afford to lose, right? Only invest what you can afford to lose, then yes, I would say join Gym Hunters Premium. Let's see. Can you talk on how to become a crypto moderator? NG asks. I saw your DM on X too, NG. Yeah, just see if you can provide value. But you have to be knowledgeable about crypto to be a moderator. So that's a big caveat with that. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Claudio, is it a good time to buy ETH right now? Maybe if it breaks the trend line. No thoughts on MOG. Let's see. I think crypto will be the new norm for money, Vanraj. I think eventually it'll be another global currency similar to the dollar. And we're already seeing a lot of countries adopt it, as well as a lot of payment providers accept it. So Claudio says, should I hold shorts right now or sell? $1 million question. Hard to say. It's really hard to say because we're at resistance, but it's a lot of bullish momentum. You should buy Bitcoin again around 87K. Shop Belicia. And then let's see. Okay. See, how much money can I make with Gym Hunters Premium? It all depends on how hard you work and how much you're on it. So like I said, there's a lot of good data. Every month we made 68% to 310% for the past year. So you can make a lot of money. It just depends how much studying and how much you want to do and how much effort you want to put in. So it says, why do you sound like Luke Belmar? I've hung out with him a lot and we talk a lot, and it's just I watched a lot of his videos too, so learned a lot of stuff. But yeah, guys, I do have to head out. Why do you think Luke Belmar said the last bull run? He said it's the last bull run because this is like full market saturation. So that's the biggest thing. But a lot of people are adopting it. But with that, guys, I do got to head out. I got an AMA right now on X. So if you want to join that, go ahead at the Crypto Data. But thank you guys so much for watching. Again, please like the video if you liked it. Join Gym Hunters Premium if you haven't. Join the free group if you can't afford the premium group in the description as well. Join BloFin as well, best non-KYC leverage trading exchange. You guys will learn a lot, and you can use a VPN if you can't sign up for it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Love you guys. Have a great Tuesday. Have a great rest of the week. Talk to you guys.